So today there's going to be a bunch of things going on here on this here boat, and there's actually been a lot of things going on in a lot of places. But I don't know if you can see this very well. Oh, there you go. I'll get the shade. But this is leftover glue from, well, it's partially glue and partially this material that was used in the old strobe decal on here, and it's all the way down the side of the boat. Plus there's some that, and there's leftovers from the license and countless gouges and so on there, and there's hull discoloration, and the only way you're going to get rid of that is you're going to have to sand it. So what that looks like when it's said and done is this. So this is after 800 sanding, which it's going to have to go to 800, 1,000, and 1,500, and then it has to be acid bleached to get it to be pure white again. Uh, and you're going to get it as good as you're going to get it, because the gel coat will yellow over time. There's not much you can do about it. There is several brighteners on the market, and even on the back you can see it's somewhat yellowed, and I haven't got to fixing any of that yet, but that is going to be a whole, I don't know, that might be part of this whole thing, because I do plan on digging all this garbage that's been put in here, this stuff. I'm going to bust it all up and dig it out of there, because when I build the new transom, it's going to actually go up to the bottom of the inner piece, and it's going to fit properly. One thing I did notice that I didn't talk about earlier was that this hole goes all the way through, and it's all wood all the way through. Now, I kept barking about 3/4 inch transom. Well, it seems that this transom might possibly be two different pieces of wood. A smaller piece on the bottom, or well, it's all the way, so they've got two pieces of plywood laminated together to form the thickness of the transom, which is not uncommon. It's frequently done, but what I'm thinking they did is there's the second piece is only about that wide. I don't know if you can see that, but it's only about that big. And which is, that's wrong on 100 different levels, and I don't know why the hell they did it that way at the factory, but we'll find all that out when we pop the top off this thing. But this thing has a date with someone else to do some things to it, so it's imperative that I get the sides done, and so this can go, because it's on the transport trailer, and so that it can go to its next location for something to be done to it. And I'm not letting the kitten out of the bag on what that's going to be yet. That has nothing to do with this, so don't get your hopes up. I already have a plan for this. Um, let's see. Okay, so I'm going to be filming some of this so you can see the process of what I'm going to be going through here. And I'm actually going to 800 the back of this too. The whole back of this is going to be all done in 800 too. I don't know what was mounted here once upon a time, but I guarantee that that's going to disappear, and I will probably use gel coat with a silica filler, and just go drill those out slightly and just go over them and fill them full of gel coat. Um, and I'll probably end up having to get some mustard to tint the gel coat slightly, because it's not going to be white weight. It's definitely an off-white of some kind. So it's going to be a trip to St. Paul and a sit-down conversation with Express Composites to get the materials that I need for that. There will be a keel rebuild, because I got to looking at it, and there's a lot of fiberglass missing down there. So I don't know why or how it rubbed off that spot. I'm sure the family will bend my ear. Maybe it was just beached, from being on the beach, a million times. I don't know. They didn't make any sense. Okay, so enough talking about this. It's time to be doing things. I'll have to set up the camera, and you can basically just going to have to watch. So that's what's next. So, in the last 40 years of doing this silliness, I have never seen a jade colored resin like this before. I don't know what this is. Some type of polyester resin, I would assume, but I've never seen anything like it. Now, I did break up all the stuff that was in the back of the boat, so now I'm just going to vacuum it out of here and see what we got going on. As you can see, all that stuff's all broke up now, and there's obviously some lumpy gravy to go along with it. And but I got all that broke up so it's not attached to the transom, and this back piece is free from the transom. I don't know if you can even see it wiggle. You see me wiggle. So that was important, but it's still, there's still some of this on the inside and the bottom, and I've got to go make sure that that's loose as well. So there's going to have to be more things done. I'm just going to fire up the suction device in here, and we're going to take a look in there and see how really bad that transom is. Vacuum cleaner is a suction device, by the way. Yeah, it seems noisy, so forgive me. That didn't fit. Huh. Look at this nozzle. Man, you can really see how bad that wood is. Oh my God. As soon as I get this part done, we're going to take a look in there. And see what's going on. Yeah, this stuff's all over the ground, dude. Can't be having that. Gotta be friendly to the earth and all. This stuff does not degrade ever. Only if it's attached to your boat. Then it falls apart. And that's about it. Stuff was flying all over the place, but okay, that's enough of that. That's my OSHA approved on-off switch. Plug it in. Hot wired. Okay. So next thing I'm going to do is get a screwdriver for a core sample of wood. And let's see, which one am I going to be my favorite today? And then of course I'm going to have to vacuum this mess up again. But I wanted to do a core sample here. I have to hold this camera with the other hand. So I could, oh geez. Yeah, that's gone too. Pulp, pieces, chunks, rottenness. Yeah, that's not going to be really hard to get out of there, I guess. It's just flying out. By the way, plywood is not supposed to do this. Just saying. Oh, wow. It's rotting all the way up into here. Yee, that's bad. Okay, well, that's enough of that. That was just to get some kind of feel for what's going on here. And as you can see by what's going on with my screwdriver, that there's really, oh, geez, got it all over me. There's just nothing left. I mean, anywhere. I mean, we're already over to where the motor goes, and I'm quite positive this isn't much different. Yeah, you can't, a good piece of plywood, you can't just whittle away at it with a screwdriver. So, yeah, it's a good call to replace this transom when we're doing this. And you can see even over here, I mean, this is all rot too. I mean, in between the pieces of plywood, like this one might be good right here, but then when you come back to this one, it's gone, you know. And then over here, we got the same situation going on over here too, I'm sure. Yeah, this is just cooked. Yeah. So, and the further in I dig, the worse it is. And let's see if I can turn my screwdriver the right way. Yeah. So on either side of the motor, it was completely rotten, and it wouldn't have been very long, and it would have failed, and this whole project would have been all for naught. So it was a really good judgment call on my part here to do this. That didn't get chipped off there. I got, as you can see, some more green stuff that's got to go. This stuff is so freaking hard. I had to use I have an air chisel with a special flat blade for cutting this stuff away and breaking these loose. And then I have another air chisel that I custom made, and that goes up underneath this edge to break that glue, because these are usually glued on the inside and riveted. And so the flat, it's basically what it is. I took a flat scraper and cut it off and welded it to an air chisel, and so left it just long enough so it doesn't ever go past here. So if you got it all the way in, then to the weld edge, then you need to stop, because you literally can ruin a lot of stuff if you're not careful. And I've seen guys drive air chisels straight through the boat, you know, because they don't know what the hell they're doing. I've seen a lot of guys, as a matter of fact, I've seen so many videos out there right now, guys with that pouring that transom garbage. That stuff is swill. I mean, there's another spot. Well, I guess I got most of it. As you can see, I cut all that away, but there's some lingering in here. There we go. There's another piece of jade. You make some jewelry, Tony? We could make Hillary some jewelry out of the old book. I don't think she'd find much humor in that. Then again, I know how she is, and she just might. So, you can see my task ahead of me when I make the new transom, that the wood will come all the way up to the top piece. It will fit properly, and I will probably have to take the top off the boat and put it back on, fitting wise, more than likely at least twice to get it perfect, to get it so it fits just like a glove. It sucks because you got to get about 4 guys to do it, just because it's a pain in the ass, you know, taking it off. You know, it's pretty big and heavy, so you lift it off and then you take the other shit out, and then you put the new in there, but don't, you know, obviously don't cement it in, but put it in there and get it secure. And I usually will take and utilize one of these old holes here. I'll dig out one of these old holes and I'll just put a screw in there just to hold it in place, not doing any damage to it, because I will be coating. This is another pet peeve too, and there's a guy that's got a really great channel on fiberglass work. I can't say enough good about him. He said, he even told me he's actually a boat builder. He's his kid's 3rd generation boat builder, and he's 2nd generation. But none of these guys resin coat the end of the fiberglass or the end of the plywood. You have to do that. That's what seals it. You know, I mean, some guys use varnish, and I've done that too on cheaper jobs where the guy just, you know, I want to use it for a few years and whatever, then I'll just do it that way. And that'll last for probably 10 years, you know, maybe. Depends. If you leave it in the water, it sure won't, but because water will get past varnish, spar varnish. I don't care how many freaking coats you put on there. And too much of that stuff is bad too, because it'll start cracking on you. Another guy I know, really great guy, Brock, he was doing a transom job, and they didn't laminate the wood together. They put two separate pieces of wood in there, and that's a major no-no too, because they're don't become one and gain strength. They're just two pieces of plywood. Even though they're stacked, they don't get the strength that they would have if they were bonded together. Of course, he is only putting a 50 horse on, so that's, and it's an old Johnson, a very cool one, a 58. And it's a very cool boat, but I would have done that job quite a bit differently. But it's okay. But by the time he gets the transom board on, and I'm probably going to make him one. I don't know. I sent him an email, and I'm probably going to make him a transom board for his boat, because that's kind of out of his wheelhouse. He's not really into with the whole woodworking thing. And well, I'm into fiberglass, and if you're into fiberglass, you got to be into wood. It goes with the territory. God, I keep looking at how bad that is. Oh my God, that just drives me nuts. That's like, ew. There's just nothing. Anyway, so yeah, so that's where we're going with the back of this thing, and that's happening this week. This thing's got a dinner date. So there's going to be a change this week that's going to make Tony and the family uber happy. So I'm going to get going here, because I've still got the sides I want to show, the sanding the sides, you know, the 800. I'm going to sand this first, just go over it lightly, because I'll go back over this after I acid wash it. Because what I'm doing is opening up the resin by wet sanding it with 800. I'm opening the resin up. And then if you do a bleach, acid bleach, it brings it really a lot whiter. It cleans out the I don't know, the garbage that goes and sinks into your gel coat from being in the water, or just being. Okay, so it's a common thing that a lot of boat builders do. So that's just something that this is going to happen next. So we're going to get on this other side, and for some reason I lost my daylight. Too many chores to do around here, and I am gaining on it, but I've had some health problems this last week too, and that screwed me over quite a bit. My doctor says I'm overdoing it. Well, that's just too damn bad. Stuff's got to get done, and I got to keep my promises. So, you know, one of them deals. So I'm going to be working on this, and I don't know if you can even see what's going on here. I showed it earlier, so I'll show it after I get somewhere with it, because I can't really film very well. I've done it in the past. It just really doesn't work out very good. Doesn't come out. I'm not a cinematographer. So, all right, I'll be back. So I'm going to try to do this successfully, and notice I've sprayed water on my DA pad, and I have sprayed water on the boat. And so I'm just going to do this spot here, because what I want to show you is the technique you need to use. You can't just go one direction like this all the time. You got to go different directions to get this stuff cut away. Otherwise, all you're going to do is chew holes in it. So you can get some kind of idea there. And I see there's I don't know where it is now. Oh, there's a mark. There's a lot of scrapes in this boat. So that they're just going to have to be dealt with one way or the other. That is a wicked scrape. And I don't know what my vinyl guy is going to say about that, but I don't think he's going to be too awful happy. I may end up having to fill that. Otherwise, there's going to be an air bubble behind it, and I think I know exactly what he's going to say. So you can fill. And this is a good example of something like this. You see this digger in the side of the boat here? You can fill that with gel coat. Mix up gel coat with a little bit of, it's a silicone polymer, and it makes it kind of like a putty. And you can fill that and tape off that little area and just fill that and then block sand that off, and it will fill that. There's still going to be a mark there, unless you can match your gel coat, but it's still going to leave somewhat of a mark. But for this situation where we're going to put a vinyl decal over the top of it, it won't get an air bubble behind it, and that's bad. So that will have to get filled, and it's the only spot that I can see that has to be done that way. There's other spots on the boat. There's a couple right there that are diggers, but that's not where the decal is going to be, because the other one's going to be right in here. And actually there is a mark right there, but that's really a minor one. I'm not so concerned with something that's super minor, but when it's deep, I mean this one's deep, too deep, I'd say. Anyway, so stuff like that, you have to use some common sense here, okay? So if you're trying to not have a perfect boat but have it look perfect, I mean, it's going to have some flaws, and that's the whole thing, because every scratch has a story to tell on this boat. So I mean, we're going to leave some. We're going to leave some of the dings. We're just going to make it as perfect as we can, but it's not going to be like the day it rolled off the showroom floor. I mean, as far as the hull is concerned, the top, of course, but in the interior, we can't find the carpet. And by the way, if anybody knows where I can get that particular carpet, I'm pretty sure that I will have a very happy customer. Now you can see right here, what I'm showing you here is, this is what we just shaved off. It's just got a real nice shadow to it, but you can see where it's completely gone here, okay? And I can't hold the camera and do this at the same time, so that's why I'm adding this in for you guys to see what I'm up to here. And like I said, I'm just going to take an 800, everything from the top edge here. It'll be all 800 all the way to the bottom edge down here, and I'm going to do that through the whole front of the boat. And then I'm going to go back with 1,000 and 1,500. So to do a 14-foot boat, just the sides alone like this, it's about 6 hours of sanding. It is a pain in the ass. And then you got to start buffing, and then you got to go through that process. But one thing I'm going to show you is, I think you can see it in the camera. See how dark this is in comparison to where I've already sanded below this? I hear a cat fight going on in the background. That doesn't surprise me. It's a ranch. But that's the other reason that this is all being done, because this is going to brighten this white like crazy. And then once I acid, well, it's called hull brightener or gel coat brightener. And once I use that on here, it's going to strip out all that buried material that's soaked in over the years from being in the water. Okay. And roughly it's a lot of calcium and iron and stuff like that. It just soaks into the fiberglass. I mean, it just does. I mean, there's a really good example of the darkness there versus it gets lighter as you go up here. So that'll all go away. So this thing will be bright white when I'm done with it and shiny as a glass bottle. So anyway, enough about that. I will be back when I get this finished.